Language is a complicated thing. Sometimes we use words and we do not really know them and do not understand them. So for these things we created dictionaries, because our active set of words is lower than the words floating around, and it is no shame that some people do not know all the words. So let's try to find out what taxes are really, and if you know me, you know the punchline already. So taxes are a compulsory contribution to state revenue, which means that governments get some money from somewhere, but some of the money, which means taxes, gets collected on a compulsory level. So what does this mean, compulsory? Well, compulsory seems to mean that is required by law or rule, which means that somebody says he can do it because, well, he can do it and he is able to create a law. There will be some people who stand behind him and say, yes, he's our man, he can do that, and you have to apply whatever he wants. So compulsory, what is the next thing we can go over here? Well, I would say it is coercion, coercive in this case. So what does this mean? Well, it is relating to using force or threats. And the interesting thing is, this word gets used more and more over the time. So force and threats. Force, well, is a broad word. You can do so many things with force. Obviously, some things are quite good, but in the end, you can use it to make somebody do something against their will. So she was forced into early retirement. Evil, evil thing. So is there something that is in accordance to exactly this definition? Yeah, I would say stealing is such a thing. If you go down the definition of stealings, you will find that it has something to do with doing something that the other did not want you to do with his property. And from that, it's a very close jump into theft. Also a word that is used more and more over the time, which is quite interesting. So taxation is theft. You can try this with ferrets. You can try to find a very small correlation from ferrets to theft. You will have a little bit more work with that, and you will have to use creative thinking to that, because this is straightforward. You come to theft via stealing, you come to stealing via applying force. The idea of applying force is created from coercive actions, and the coercive action is a compulsory action. These things step very close together, because there is no compulsory thing without some coercion or some force implied to that, and then you are back in taxes. Tax is by very definition stealing, in the end, by somebody who says that he can do it because he has the power, and otherwise he can do something to you that you would not like. What you have to take into account here is that stealing is stealing. When you go down the street and some guy comes over with a gun in his hands and say, give me all your money, and you have $100 in your purse, and you give him $100, and he says, thanks for that, ha 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 ha, and runs away. It is stealing. It is also stealing when he says, okay, chum, here you've got $1 back. It is still stealing when he says, I give you $99 back. It is still stealing. The interesting question is, what if he says, I took $100 from you, but now here I give you $200 back. Is this still stealing? Yes, the act of stealing in the first place does not mean that it is validated just because he gives you something back. And in case of a government, it would be that he takes $100 back, gives you nothing, and somebody else $120, and gives you a receipt where it stands that you have to pay in some years $20, or better, your children will have to do. That's an interesting thing. Even in the case that is unrealistic, that he takes something from you and gives you more back, the act of taking the money in the first place is stealing, no matter what happens next. And that's the thing, you just have to go down the path of definitions, something that went a little out of fashion some years ago, to use words in their proper meanings and not just as a clap by saying you're a Nazi, shut up. So this can be your strength when you say, okay, let's go to the dictionary. Google has a wonderful dictionary. Go to the Google dictionary, and click through that, and you find that taxes are theft based on a dictionary. Definitions are your friend, and they are the worst enemy of those who will tell you otherwise. Remember that. Remember how you can use a dictionary to point out what things mean